So the discussion of refereeing in any sport is always a hot topic discussion. Refereeing is a lot of times controversial, and people always want to revise the system so that 100% of the calls are correct. And refereeing, umpiring in baseball is no different. It can be controversial at times, but umpires, like other referees, do their best. So in this video today, I'd like to talk about the accountability factor behind umpires in baseball, specifically Major League Baseball, as well as whether I think the system to implement umpires in the Major League systems, including the lower leagues, should be revised to increase accountability, to increase the number of correct calls, and whether or not that system is working. So I want to start off by talking about the new replay system, because I think that's a good place to start, since it is centered around the idea of accountability. You have this brand new replay system in baseball, the last professional sport to implement a replay system, and I think it's worked well so far. Definitely some kinks to work out, but that's expected in the first few months. It was interesting that they went with the hockey style replay system, where you have a centralized location, and then the calls are made to the umpire, so the umpires themselves aren't actually reviewing plays like in football. They're just on the phone with someone who has all the replays and stuff, which I think is a good system, because then you have a neutral party who hasn't been affected by any emotions in the game, and they're looking at the replay. And I want to reference two replays in particular. I was watching both of these games live, and that was the Red Sox-Yankees series a couple weekends ago, the Saturday night replay and the Sunday night replay. So first, the Saturday night replay. This really ticked me off because I don't know how you could get this wrong. I understand how the umpire in the first place could get it wrong, because just a routine play, player slides in, infielder keeps his glove on the player until he pops up, and that's that. But I don't know how you don't have that replay when people on TV, the broadcasters, could see that replay. Broadcasters even didn't know that he was clearly out. I don't know what was going on with that situation, but that really irked me. And then the next night, the Sunday night, again, replay was implemented, but this time they did get the call correct, went in favor of the Yankees. So both replays went in favor of the Yankees, and John Farrell comes out and gets tossed. And I really understand and respect the rule that you can't argue a replay. That's correct. If you go to a replay, you're going to get it right most of the time. But in that case, he knew he had been screwed. Major League Baseball had come out and said, we're sorry, we didn't have the right replay, we'll fix it, which I think was a great move on Major League Baseball's point. If they had come out and said anything besides that, their accountability would have went down the drain. But I really do like that they came out and just said, we're really sorry, we were wrong. That's a great thing. So the replay system is very interesting. I'm glad it's there, and I think it'll continue to be implemented well and continue to work even better. So moving on to the idea of how Major League umpires are evaluated and how they move up the ranks. I actually knew a little bit about this because in high school, probably like most other males, I was really interested in refereeing for a career, and I looked at baseball umpiring because I had done some in the Little League, and I looked at the system, and I was looking at the statistics, and it was just mind-boggling. You pay $4,000 to go down to a camp in Florida, which is a lot of money for an 18-year-old, and there's a slim chance that you get selected. Everyone at the camp obviously knows baseball. They want to be there. They're excited to be there. They want to do well. Yet you only have a small percentage moving on to the next round. You only have a small percentage who are actually offered a contract with Major League Baseball. That was surprising and a little bit upsetting for me personally, but in the grand scheme of baseball umpiring, that's great to see that only the cream of the crop are getting selected to referee, even in just single A. You think single A might just take anyone, but no, they're only selecting the best. So that's great. So in regards to the whole system of how umpires are evaluated, I think they're evaluated very well. I looked up an article on Major League Baseball. Let me just pull up some quotes from Major League Baseball talking about the evaluating system. They centered around two main points: daily reviews, in which they watch every single game. So I'm going to pull up a quote here from the current vice president of umpiring in baseball, and he says each of our crews are assigned to a particular supervisor. Let's say I have a crew that's in Chicago tonight and there's not an observer there. There's not an observer there. I get an email the next day saying the game needs to be reviewed. Will bring it up in the system and review every single play they had in that game. So every game is covered one way or another. The system that he's referring to is called the SURE system, which is a supervisor umpire review and evaluation system. So I thought that was really great that they implemented this system where either you have a supervisor at the game watching every play, or you have someone reviewing every single play afterwards. Very similar to football. So I really enjoyed that. Second aspect they do touch upon in this MLB.com article is incentives, corrective measures, and philosophy. And they had a really interesting quote in here from Jonathan Papelbon and Mike Port. Mike Port is the former vice president of umpiring for Major League Baseball. Jonathan Papelbon says, if an umpire gets a call wrong, he probably needs to go back to AAA. You're in the big leagues to do a job, and when you don't do a good job, you should be demoted or fired. Mike Port came back saying, one thing that is a personal irritation is when players say umpires need to be more accountable. When we screw up, we get sent to the minor leagues. Well, being on the club side, I can tell you not necessarily so. And that's very true. Players screw up all the time, but if an umpire screws up once, he's scrutinized in front of everyone. So in response to reading that article, they went in depth in the MLB.com article talking about exactly how they're evaluated, with who makes it to the postseason. Really, really impressed. Really impressed with how many people percentage-wise make it to professional baseball. Really impressed with how many people or how often they're evaluated. So that was impressive, and I like that they get evaluated so closely. Final thing I wanted to talk about is the fitness level in baseball. A lot of people say these umpires are overweight and they should be more fit. And I do see that side of the argument. I would love all umpires to be fit, but at the end of the day, I want an umpire who's experienced, an umpire who is going to be strong and fair in their decisions, and I want an umpire who's been there for a long time. If you're going to be a little bit less on the fit side, yet you know what you're doing, you don't back down from a call, and you have that experience, I'm perfectly fine with that. A little bit different in a sport like soccer. If I see an overweight ref, I'm probably going to be upset about that. But if I see an overweight ref in baseball, umpire in baseball, I'm probably more likely to judge him based off how he umpires a game. So overall, I really enjoyed reading the MLB.com article because it really showed me that they do check out these umpires. I think the system for moving them through the ranks is very fair. Only a small percentage make it, only the best make it. And I think the accountability is in place. And finally, I think the replay system is great, and it'll continue to improve.